Blogging, a way where people can post their thoughts, share videos, pictures, music, or other aspects of their lives to the internet. Most people start a blog for fun, to express themselves and connect with others who share a similar interest. That was the case for Roxana Vargas, who ran her own blog. Living in Venezuela, she enrolled in university to pursue journalism and social justice. Very quickly, she gained attention from her professors, achieving high grades. But that came at a cost. During her time in school, she experienced depression and anxiety, something totally normal for a student like her. But she also suffered from bulimia and anorexia, something she was quite proud of, making a pro-Ana and pro-Mia blog, and connecting with other girls like her called princesses. She would share advice on her blog on the best ways to vomit. But her depression and anxiety wouldn't go away, so she looked to get help from a psychiatrist. Her father recommended she seek Edmundo Chirinos, who once treated her mother. Edmundo was an incredibly popular and influential psychiatrist in Venezuela. Throughout his life, he published several books. He was top of his university, and he treated 3 presidents. So Roxana was very eager to get help from one of the best psychiatrists in the country. But it didn't turn out as she expected. Edmundo diagnosed her as a schizophrenic. She was initially skeptical of the evaluation, but her mother convinced her, telling her Edmundo wasn't wrong. He suggested intensive treatment that included sedation. At her 4th session, Roxana visited his office for one of these sedation treatments. But when she woke up and went home, she started to feel pain in her lower body. Then she realized she was bleeding from her vagina. When she went to the gynecologist, he informed her that she had lost her virginity. Feeling disgusted and stunned, she tried all she could to expose Edmundo to the country. But the doctor's reputation and power completely shattered all efforts. She felt hopeless and worse than before, so her mother brought her back to her hometown, away from school, and took her to get treated by another psychologist. Over time, her mental health healed, and eventually went back to school in January of 2008 to continue her career as a journalist. And she used those skills to document her experience with Edmundo on her blog, revealing phone calls and recounting details of their encounters. However, she would get phone calls from people harassing her and calling her a liar, which only made her mental health worse again. Soon, the cheerful Roxana spent her days in the classroom silent, which only led her right back to Edmundo Chirinos, her previous psychiatrist and the man who sexually assaulted her. She documented this in her blog. The day that I turned myself to my psychiatrist, I was very scared, but he treated me well. He called me beautiful and many more things. He kissed me very sensually in a way that I wouldn't forget so soon. After that day, we talked a lot. He told me that it was going to repeat, but without commitment. Besides, he is a much older person than me. He must be about 6 years old or maybe more. Edmundo Chirinos was 73 years old, and Roxana was 19. Despite the massive difference in their age, Roxana grew an interest in the man who she previously tried to expose. She would write, "Yesterday, I did it again with him, but not as much as the first day, since he was in office hours and we couldn't last a long time. I think I'm unintentionally getting fond of it, but that's very bad, because the psychiatrist only wants me as an object. I don't know what to do. Oh, I don't know if I had told you, but my first time I did it with him, with the psychiatrist. Imagine how I am." Roxana was clearly torn up. She couldn't believe that she grew an affection for Edmundo, but she couldn't help herself. Her affective deficiencies, constant suffering, and low self-esteem led Roxana to become codependent of Edmundo. But the relationship was very rocky. She threatened him many times that she would reveal the abuses he had committed against other women. After some time, as they continued to see each other, Roxana got an internship role working as a production assistant in a show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. a feat she was very proud of. But Edmundo wasn't so fond of that. The sudden media rise Roxana had frightened him. Until that moment, he was the only one who had access to the media and control over the public, but for the first time, his reputation was in danger. In July of 2008, the body of Roxana Vargas appeared in a vacant lot. Blame was soon facing Edmundo. Her mother and classmates knew what was going on between them. Her mother phoned the psychiatrist as soon as she heard the news, accusing him directly. He denied any claims against him on television. But the following month, on August 1st, Edmundo Chirinos was arrested and in 2010 sentenced to 20 years in prison for the murder of Roxana. Police found 1,200 photographs and videos of naked women or in their underwear, sedated, in his office. They also found blood in his office belonging to Roxana. During his imprisonment, he suffered a stroke and had to spend the rest of his time in house arrest. But in 2013, he died of a heart attack. Shortly after Roxana's death, her father fell into a depressive state from which he could not get out of until he died of a stroke. Her mother lost her mind to the point of being admitted to a psychiatric hospital where she eventually died of a heart attack. Along with the evidence found in his office, Roxana's blog was used for investigation of their relationship. It had every detail of their time together, as well as reflections of her mental health. The blog was removed from the site blogspot.com sometime after her death, but besides some news articles that shared some of her posts, all traces of her blog were erased. The earliest archive of the website was saved on April 9, 2011, but by then, it was too late. The blog's contents are completely lost. Roxana Vargas was a troubled soul who suffered from multiple mental disorders. If she got the right help she needed, her life wouldn't have ended so tragically. However, her blog became an important thing that saved dozens of victims from one of Venezuela's most powerful predators. At 9:40 p.m., the night had already settled over Santiago, Chile. The distant echo of cars could be heard overhead the metro. A man ran to the station, not wanting to miss his train. He sat down. Minutes passed. The platform lights flickered faintly as the sound of an approaching train could be heard in the distance. He stood up and walked to the very edge of the platform. And as the train approached, he jumped forward. Ramuel Donoso was identified shortly after, and police began to search his house. They seized his computer and flash drives for evidence of a serious crime. You see, they already knew exactly who he was. Donoso was one of the people in charge of a website called nido.org, but some of the contents of this website were disturbing. The site was known to be an anonymous forum, a place where people can discuss things while having their identity hidden, similar to 4chan, with around 14,000 users, with users being able to discuss just about anything. The website had zero limitations of what you could post or say. That was exactly the problem. People started posting personal information about their current and ex-partners, including images and videos, to private chat rooms only accessible by invitations. Some were just random women online who were being posted to this site. The comments of these posts were flooded with people harassing, degrading, and threatening them. This behavior even extended to underage minors. But what would get the website investigated and eventually shut down was an incident where people would organize and talk about kidnapping women in Chile. You won't even realize when you're already inside of a body bag. Nobody's going to do anything. Nobody's going to save you. Not you or anyone else, because the law is on our side. You won't gain anything by trying to expose us. We're going to kill you. Guys, thanks for the scopolamine. Everything went as expected. Now, enjoy the hunt. Don't rape her. Wake her up to see her cry. I caught her walking at night. Scopolamine or the devil's breath, is a powerful drug often used in crimes, used to incapacitate victims. The website was shut down and investigated by the authorities. Lamuel Donoso was outed as one of the main admins of the website, and on February 26, 2019, threw himself onto an oncoming train because he could not handle the media and police pressure. When police raided his home, they confiscated all of his electronics, in which they found something sinister. Lamuel Donoso had written a book titled The Intruder. Much of what is contained in the book is a total mystery, but some parts have been shared online from others who have read it, describing it as sick and degenerate. One user commented, "Being very generous, I give it 1 star out of 5. The book makes it clear from the beginning that it is an autobiography of the author, who has had a somewhat difficult life, since he has had to deal with external and internal demons since he was a child. It is understandable that due to these problems of his childhood and adolescence, a mental illness has been chained in his adulthood. My confusion arose in chapter 5. The author explains that the protagonist feels sexual attraction to girls between 11 and 16 years old, but that later he was attracted to a 22-year-old girl who, according to him, stole his dignity and money. As a result of this, he began to have sex with everything that had a hole." It's not clear if these comments were from people who actually read the book or were messing around, but the vast majority all agree that the book, although at first it seemed interesting, degenerated into an extensive display of pedophilia. The book was published in October of 2010, 2 years before his death. No official page or text has ever been released, and if it does exist, it most likely sits at the hands of the police. In 2006, a house sitting along a hill in Monterrey, Mexico, would become a house of nightmares. In the early morning of March 6th, Diego Santoy went to visit his ex-girlfriend, Erica Cross, to fix their relationship. The couple had first met at a party one day, where they fell madly in love, but that love turned into obsession. Throughout the years they were together, they developed a violent and possessive behavior, which led to the pair splitting up. So earlier that night, while Diego was eating with his friend, he asked him to drop him off in the Cumbres neighborhood, where Erica lived. Diego jumped the fence, put on a balaclava, and snuck inside, going into Erica's room. Erica woke up from the noise, initially frightened, but recognized Diego's figure. The two argued back and forth. Diego just wanted to talk. He wanted to fix things with her. But Erica was fed up, and was even more frustrated at Diego for breaking in. They resumed the conversation in the kitchen to not wake her siblings up, but they had already woken up at this point and came to see the commotion. At that moment, Diego, for some reason, told Erica that he was having sex with her mother behind her back. Erica, in a fit of rage, took a knife and stabbed her 7-year-old brother, while Diego, in a state of confusion and fear, held him still. Then, she grabbed the cord and strangled her 3-year-old sister as Diego watched. Afterwards, they came to the conclusion that they were going to make a suicide pact together. Diego tried stabbing Erica with a knife, but couldn't bring himself to make a fatal wound, leaving only bruises and an open wound. Diego left the house, bringing the worker with him as hostage. He left her near the city center, and with his brother, continued driving south, hoping to reach Guatemala. But just days before he could, he was arrested in Oaxaca. Or at least, that's what he claimed. Around 1 month after the incident, he was interviewed by De La Micha, where he claimed the above statement. The interview was released the following day, with it exploding, being talked about by the Mexican media, because that's not what they had heard. According to Erica's statement, Diego had solely been the violent and possessive one in the relationship, leading to her breaking up with him and filling him with a dark jealousy. He couldn't grasp the idea of them being apart. He did not want any possibility of Erica thinking of someone else. On March 6th, 2006, she woke up and walked downstairs to the kitchen with the feeling that something was off due to how quiet it was in the house. That's when she saw a dark figure walking out of her brother's room and immediately recognized it as Diego's. It was there that they started to argue when Diego lunged at her and beat her with a hammer and tried to slice her throat. She survived his attack and he ran away, taking the houseworker with him. Afterwards, she ran to her siblings' room when she saw what he had done. The two went back and forth, each one claiming the other was a murderer, until finally in October of 2010, Diego was charged with the murder of both kids, being sentenced to 138 years behind bars, later reduced to 78. The interview with Adela Micha became notorious for starting a war between both sides, so people naturally tried finding it many years later, but they realized that there was no trace of it anywhere, with people questioning if the interview was real at all, or confusing it for another interview, as Diego appeared in many. It wasn't until 2020 when people found on esmas.com, Televisa's old portal site, a webpage discussing the interview, but no clips had been found until a couple of days later when it was discovered that almost 5 minutes of the interview was found on a YouTube video in 2010 titled Panda, the Cumples Killer, .wmv. It was a Diego fan video with images and videos of the two with a song by Mexican group Banda in the background. The broadcast is believed to have been 22 minutes long, but has yet to be fully found. Many believe that Erica was guilty for the murder, as her family could have used their position to skew the media in their favor. Her mother was an astronomer for the network Multimedios, which could have pulled some strings. I truly don't know what happened that morning, but what we do know is the loss of 2 innocent lives. If Diego really didn't kill them, he had every opportunity to stop her, but chose to help her instead. And to me, that still makes him a monster. I want to give a special thank you to Kevin Korani for supporting me on Patreon. If you're feeling generous and want to support further, you can follow me on Patreon for as little as $3 a month, where you can get early access to videos and regular updates. But anyways, thank you guys for watching.